In this matchup, we'll have a new Liquid and an old NIP going head to head. While the Ninjas seek to put the pains of Mexico in their rearview mirror, Liquid is looking to explode onto the stage with their two new players, Ask and Resets. And this is the main challenge for Liquid. With Team 1's surprise success, Liquid will want to be putting their house in order as the current BR6 leader. A win against a wounded NIP will certainly make their point.
I told them I do it, I swear that I'm running the most. I don't know what they've been talking, I told them I'm here and I'm working so hard, but they don't. I'm in the base and I'm making a way, and I told them that this is the life that I chose. They trying to test me, I told them you really don't want it, I told them that I gotta go. Now I got way too much money coming out of woodwork. Remember
the third round of BR6 2021 starts now with an elite duel. With modified lines for one team and not for the other, we have to emphasise the unpredictability of this confrontation, as well as the expectation of high caliber play from both teams. The cavalry of Liquid charged to stay at the top. The Ninjas did the same, but they are in search of recovery. So who will start the last stage of BR6 on the right foot? This is what we'll find out following this confrontation between NIP and Team Liquid.
Well, Ollie, you know, we mentioned it earlier, a lot to prove for Liquid as they have made these major changes. Just really, I want your predictions now because there's a lot up in the air. It's 50-50. Do we see immediately Liquid go for this more aggressive playstyle that they seem like they're going for, or do they maybe slow things down a little? I think that's going to actually depend on the map heavily, though. So, I mean, I want to know what your thoughts here.
I think it's going to be quite telling. Obviously the map plays a big part in that, and you know it depends on where we end up as to whether we go a little bit more strategic or a little bit more chaotic. But on the face of it, you've got to take the information that we've got in front of us, and that is that Liquid are playing with two new players. Now, how long they've been scrimming with these players for is unknown, but let's be honest, it isn't going to be forever. It's not going to be more than a couple of months at the least, because they will have been preparing for Mexico. So there's a good argument there to say that they aren't going to have that synergy that they're used to having. Now, when you've been on a team that hasn't made a change for such a long time, you're going to get quite comfortable in your surroundings, knowing exactly how your teammates are going to react and play in different situations. That's now something that the remaining three players on Liquid have lost. It no longer exists. So they're going to have to start to work from the ground up on this communication. We're going to go back to a point I made earlier. They're not just changing one player, they're changing two. So that means that it's an entirely new roster. It's different even when there's only one, but two players changing is pretty huge. So that then is going to ask questions of Liquid's ability to adapt and play very coordinated in a style that we're very used to seeing from them. And you think about that going up against NIP, where we often tout NIP as one of the best teams at making those mid-round decisions and those mid-round adaptations. That's a real big strength of theirs, and it's something that we've spoken to Julio about previously, and he says that it's a part of the game that those guys find really exciting, is just making things work on the fly.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting one to watch. And look, we mentioned it, the map is going to play a huge part in how Liquid end up playing. Demo, what are you thinking? Just give me some quick thoughts. What do you expect to, if not be the map that we end up on, we maybe get off the table early here?
It's always a tough one because both of these sides know each other inside and out. I would love to see Bank. I think Bank is going to be, I think a favorite for everyone. Ollie, you love a bit of Bank now. You want to see some Bank. So hopefully we get to see that out. Unfortunately, no Consulate, which is always kind of, I thought, the kind of go-to map for Liquid that I'm sure we probably would have been seeing quite a lot this season, so that's gone. And also, I mean, that's another good talking point. What's going to be Liquid's new fortress? Because, it was always Consulate. What are they going to go to now?
Yeah, definitely. It feels like Liquid, as a more methodical team, it definitely lent into that map. But do you expect to see big changes here, Ollie? Do you think we're going to, get completely switched up, or are we maybe going to go back to one of those battlegrounds where we've seen Nip and Liquid face off in the past?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised to just see Liquid try and throw the kitchen sink at this and take us to somewhere pretty aggressive straight off the rip. I think it'd make the most sense just relying on out-and-out gun skill. Don't forget the two players that they've picked up Resets and they've picked up Ask. Now, we saw Resets play inside of Stage 2 of the BR6, and he played very well. He was an exciting player to watch. Ask has been brought in from Team 1 Academy as well, decorated in the leagues that Team 1 Academy play in, and obviously a worthy pick up here. So they've basically just picked up two raw gunners that are just going to go out there and cause a massive nuisance, and I think that that's exactly what Liquid needed at that point. They needed something just to really upset the apple cart, because there's talent on that roster. We talk about the duo that is Palu and Nesk, and it's borderline unrivaled, aside from maybe a duo on the side of NIP, but it really is up there.
Yep, let's take a quick look over at the map, Veto, though, and see exactly where we are going to be ending up. Look, Demo, how about you run us through it? Maybe talk us through the thought process here of what these teams are trying to get out of the way.
Well, there goes Bank. That dream's been shot. Looking at the remaining three, Club is still there, so I'm imagining a ban. Actually, NIP is going to go for the Club ban. I thought that would have been forced by Liquid, but nope, they went for it, and there's a Villa, so we're going Coast. Okay. As aggressive as you like. Ollie called it right.
Well, that's what we want to see. We want to see Liquid show that aggression, and, well, the map is getting underway right now, so thanks a lot. I'll see you after this one, though.
Thank you very much indeed, Chunks. We are ready to get stuck into our first game of Stage 3 here on the BR6, and what better way to kick it off. We've got NIP, we've got Liquid, we've got a little bit of a new Liquid to show everybody as well, and it is on Literal. Coastline is going to be our battleground here. The old Thatcher sledge ban. Backed up with the Valkyrie. NIP coming in for the last ban here. Maybe a mirror. Mirror does have a couple of uses, and it is going to be the mirror. Nothing too earth-shattering inside of those bans. All pretty par for the course. Interesting to see the sledge ban come out of Liquid. Obviously, we know that Palu loves a bit of sledge. So, bit of a strange ban to bring out there, especially seeing as they start on the attack. But what about that for a lineup? We got an Ashe, Iana, Zofia, Hibana, and a Buck as predicted. Seeing a little bit of the aggression coming out early doors. We're going to get a 6-pick over onto the Nomad. Kamikaze going to pick up the castle as well. Now, Reset's played a lot of Buck inside of Stage 2. Didn't quite get to the dizzying heights of Alamau Buck, but we weren't far off. A very talented individual, and certainly two players to really keep your eyes out for. It's always going to be a big ask when a player joins a roster to replace somebody who has some pretty big shoes to fill. I think we can say that Sexy Cake and Moringa, those guys, they've laid down a legacy whichever way you cut it. Very successful inside of Brazil particularly, and there's always going to be a lot of pressure on the new players that are coming on in. Obviously, we wish them all the best today, and I'm excited to see what they are going to bring us, as we are going to be getting underway now. NIP starting here on the defense. Advantage again there, you could argue, is going to go toward Team Liquid. Coastline, regularly seen as an attacker-sided map. It's demonstrated in the operators that you're able to bring there. Sure, we're getting a hard breach brought in the form of Hibana, but it is by no means a requirement. Liquid are certainly going to see the favour of that attacking side first. But again, there's questions to be asked here of their ability to coordinate well together, given that they are a relatively new team. Now, Sight is a little bit of an interesting one as well. Good old Penthouse and Theatre. Not every day that you open up a Coastline with Penthouse and Theatre. It's really seen as a... It's not even tertiary, is it? It's a pick if you absolutely must, but ideally no. So the push is going to have to come in through into the kitchen. There's vertical angles that you can use to work up there as well. Obviously Coastline seeing a rework it has had some adjustments, particularly inside of that VIP. It's made a little bit more defensible now, but it does mean that these vertical angles are going to be a little bit more heavily pressured. You can see that Nesk has got the read. He knows exactly where Muzi is, but he just cannot land the shots. Ideally, could do with getting resets in there to make that rotation. And look to use the skeleton key to maybe open up a couple of those lines of sight. But the opening kill is going to go in favour of Liquid here as Pino. He gets himself caught out on the Goyo. Ask the way to be welcomed here into the BR6, finding himself nice little opening kill there as he's going to push himself on in, finds himself a second as he's able to take down Muzi, but not before Muzi deals some damage out elsewhere. Psycho, he's going to be playing inside of Billiards and he has to now push up into VIP. Hall of Fame control is firmly in the hands of Liquid. Look at him go! Ask finds himself the third. PSK is going to pick one off from way downtown. It's all now down to Kamikaze. Ask 4 kills. This guy is hyped up. We told you to keep an eye out on the rookies here. And what a way to make an entrance. Boy, oh boy. I'm going to give myself a moment to take a breath after that. I think it was a big way there for Ask to announce himself here onto the scene. The reason for the solo cast, by the way, is I'm not just totally bullying Demo out of the cast. He's actually having a bit of trouble at the moment with his internet. So we're trying to get him back on. And in fact, we're maybe going to make a bit of a debut for Chunks here. It's a big moment for Chunks. Chunks is going to get himself brought on through.
I've never casted Siege before. This feels like an honor. What an opening round, though, right there for Ask. 4 kills to start off his BR6 debut. And definitely a confidence boost, to say the least here, Ollie.
Honestly, I mean, I feel like we didn't do him justice inside of the pregame. We were very like, oh, you know, we're not sure what we're going to see here from Liquid. Like, we're not sure how these guys are gonna be able to play together. Ask just walks in, gets himself a 4K on Hibana. No problems.
We'll see if he can keep it up, though, because, I mean, look, Nip, they definitely got a bit taken aback that round, but now that they maybe realize, look, Liquid are going for this aggressive playstyle that I'm sure they definitely hypothesized with the players they were picking up, they have to be a little bit nervous. They have to maybe play things a little bit different. Do you think they're going to go for a similar kind of setup, or do you expect big changes here coming in from NIP?
NIP have got to hit us with some changes. They've already changed site. I think the side that they chose first round is by no means a first pick. It is a 4th, 5th, or never pick me bomb site. You really don't want to be going there. It's very attackable. And as such, it hasn't taken NIP much to make that adjustment and go upstairs to Hookah and Billiards, which is seen as a primary bomb site here. It's seen as somewhere that you want to be trying to go first. So maybe NIP just trying to throw something, a little bit of a curveball at the start of the game. They have been known for that. NIP are a team that will play a very aggressive or very strange round 1 and then look to dial it back as appropriate.
It's a big drone right there from Palo as well. He's just spotted out 2 of them, so immediately it feels like Liquid have the upper hand just in terms of the intel that they're starting to gain, and you can see them already forming their execute around it as Nesk just moving in, opens up the angle. He nearly found something, but this time around it wasn't to be. Liquid, they had the info. Do you feel like at this point there's been too much time passed? They've maybe lost that advantage they gained?
I think one of the really enthusing things here is that how much info Liquid are able to gather. It was a bit more sort of micro. It was something that I was thinking about earlier before the show. And that's that, you know, are Liquid now going to struggle for this drone information if that was an element that was being brought by Sexy Cake and Moringa? But it seems here that if they were, you know, if that was a role that those two used to carry, that it's being picked up very well here by the remaining players. They're doing a really good job of this early information gathering. They've still got 6 drones to the names. They've got a minute left to go. And it's kind of not unorthodox, but it's kind of a good position to be in here, really, for both sides. You know, they've got that positional advantage. They've been pushed back on into the site, and now we're going to start to see this execute as it comes in.
In Liquid, all 5 of them still alive, and we'll see how NIP want to try and go up against this. They're trying to play aggro below, but Palu, there he is, shuts the man down. Giulio probably looking to try and get frisky with the C4s, Ollie, but that's going to be a great first pick for Liquid.
Again, big advantage going into Liquid's favour here. They picked up the first kill in the previous round. They've been able to do it again here. They've got a little bit less time, as there's only 20 seconds left on the clock. This is where those executes that we've known in past to work under a little bit more pressure. Muzi, he's able to pick somebody off. He finds Ask Nesk. He's going to be looking to try and secure that plant. A little bit of chaos inside of the bomb site as Pino swings around. He's going to find the kill. Psycho a second. The timer is at 0-0-0. NIP pick their time and they pick it beautifully.
Yeah, great double kill there in the end, Ollie. I mean, I think NIP using the time well. Liquid not having the cover that they wanted. I think really relying on Palu to make things happen there, but just didn't work for them. Maybe they could have rotated Nomad over the big window. That could have been a good option for them. Shuts down any hope of anyone swinging from connector, which is exactly what we've seen. Ollie, I'm back. So apologies to make you have to solo cast that. Mike just went bang. Mike was gone for a while. I had to fix it. Some reason my Windows had set my mic volume to 0. I don't know. Don't know what happened. All of a sudden good, all of a sudden bang, can't hear me.
Well, Chunks was a real one. Stepped in for a round or so. The thing that you missed, and I'm kind of gutted that you did miss it, was that Ask got a 4K in the first round. It wasn't quite a sort of stomp, but it was a very decisive round to on Liquid, let's say. And honestly, I thought he was going to get the ace. PSK nicked one off him in between kills 3 and kills 5. So the ace was on the cards for a time for Ask. And NIP have actually chosen to go back here again. They started things off inside a penthouse and theatre, and now they are kicking back inside round number 3 into the same site. Now, Demo, I know there's been a couple of changes to this.
There has been.
Map, not necessarily this site. There's still the big factor, the double window. It still can't be a good pick.
It is. So the change that happened with the map in general was a lot of stuff done to the rooftop area. You've blocked off a lot of lines of sight. You've kind of put in more single windows that you can actually barricade now. And a big thing with this bomb site is, like you said, that double window is going to be an issue. Somebody repelling on the penthouse window. It shuts down everything that you can go for. A lot of teams back in the day would then extend into VIP and try and hold from VIP, denies access double window. But again, very, very tricky. Now what we're seeing is a change to that VIP area, Ollie. We now have a double wall instead of the big window on the DJ deck. So this will make things a little bit more viable for defenders to actually try and hold down this bomb site. Extra bit of reinforcement goes a long way.
Is it better than Kitchen, though?
No.
That's the point. I really appreciate your statement and your sentiment, and I understand the changes.
No problem.
But it ain't better than Kitchen.
It ain't. But, at the end of the day, if you want to make a full triple, rotate, if you win one and another, you're going to have to go to the third bomb site anyway. You may as well have a punt. You may as well.
Well, Ask is trying to do the same as he did previously, and he will do just exactly that. Finds the down, secures the kill. Muzi out of the picture. Players from NIP desperately now flooding in to try and plug that gap inside. But Ask has already hit his target and dipped on out. Removing the Cade. It's a big problem gone, as it's the only electrification. So all that we have to do now is to find that electric ore, and then that wall can now be open, and players like Psycho will start to feel that pressure.
Yeah, I think this is why NIPs went for the Facture ban, to try and play around this VIP hold. You have the Kai charge, which you know are so difficult to deal with if you don't have the Facture on the board. Ain't nobody running the Mavericks and Coastline. That's not going to happen. Nobody wants to play that hard breach apart from Habana. So it is a bit of a tricky position, you have to admit, for Liquid. Fair play to Ask. The fact that he got a kill is phenomenal from that position, and realistically, NIP should never let that happen. It was an ego challenge. That's what it was. He just swung in, found himself a kill, should have been traded straight away. Paulu finds his easiest kill he'll probably get all day on the Kamikaze. He's not aware that somebody's pushing in towards Aqua, and Liquid are just piece by piece, Ollie, trying to fit an attack together. It's very spread out, very reckless, I would say, from Liquid, but it's working for them.
The classic bait and switch there as Parley just moves in to assist Ask. Ask was getting hassled on that window for a while, but now it's freed up that area once again. Ask can make a further rotation. PSK looking to push his way through now as well. Limited time remains, and it's something that's happened 2 rounds in a row now for Liquid as the plant will start to go down. Palu with the swing going to shut down Psycho. Pino, an important frag over onto resets, but Palu is running rampant. Nesk, can you find the last? Yes, you can. The timer there being extended just ever so slightly. You can see the final kill actually not coming through on the kill cam because the planter was down. So really down to the wire stuff there, but Liquid, they are able... Oh, NIP? Excuse... I'm tired.
I think he might be a little bit tired, Ollie.
I thought all he had to do was get that final kill.
Nope. Yeah, that is...
I mean, that's what should have happened.
I have to question Liquid there. I really do. Don't know how they set themselves up in such a good position and still don't win the round. That could cost them quite a bit. We might be able to go back into this game and highlight that round quite a lot. I mean, NIP, look at their faces, Ollie. They couldn't believe they won that round either.
It's certainly not a round that you expect to win from that position. Liquid seemingly holding all of the cards.
You seem stunned.
I am stunned. In my head, it was just such a clear-cut thing.
Steve Austin just rocked into your house.
Yeah.
Hit you a one.
Hit me with the stone cold.
Anywho, going now to Blue Bar and Sunrise, which is honestly starting to become my favorite bomb site on Coastline. Big fan of this. I like the freedom that it gives you. You can pretty much extend anywhere you want. You can try and go upstairs, which is a little bit more risky. You can try and hold into hookah. I think kitchen is a great area to hold down. I think with addition of castle, it can make things really nice to try and hold that area of the map. You have the whole kind of rotates in towards the courtyard. A lot of things to play with. That is gonna be a stinger for Pino. Resets, just opens up the barricade and finds a man in the process. That's a rough one for NIP. That was the single man over towards that kitchen side. He's gone now.
Another opening kill going in the favor of Liquid as well. It's really becoming a little bit of a pattern here. I mean, that's not even like a... It's a legitimate opening kill, but it was just spraying a barricade. It's bad.
Oh, it's lucky. It is sheer luck.
Timing. Yeah, it's... You don't shoot the shot, you don't get the kill, but it really sucks to see that's how things are going this game for NIP. That's their level of timing, at least inside of this round. But again, it's another time where they're going to be fighting from a man behind, and especially somebody as important as Pino and on an operator as important as a Legion. You really want the Legion to stick around for as long as possible. With the way that we've seen Team Liquid really flexing, taking control, and not being afraid to make those rotations, those goo mines could be invaluable.
Yeah, it's also great just for kind of locking off areas of the map. You can place down a goo mine, and you know if somebody's wanting to push that side of the map, you will know about it. You will hear that Legion mine go off. It will give the attacker a little bit of a signal saying, don't go this way. So yeah, bit of a rough pick, and unfortunately, that has cost them kitchen control, more importantly. Kitchen is a great area for an attacker to get into. It cuts off a lot of rotations. It gives you the easy access to simply walk 2 meters and you are in the bomb site. Obviously, that's a lot more easier said than done, but still good stuff from Liquid. Uzi, I think he knows he needs to try and get a kill back. He's looking for risky peeks. Is he going to maybe challenge in towards kitchen? 3 of them are stacked up in towards Sunrise, which is not a good spot to be in. Psycho goes fishing, and he catches a big one. Palu goes down. A minute to go, 4-4. Kitchen control for Liquid. They're starting to put the pressure on towards Sunrise, and Kamikaze has to try and stall them out with those smokes.
Liquid could still do with a bit of vertical pressure coming in here as They're attacking very flat at the moment. We've seen Neski's moved his way off Ruins and potentially going to look through a bit of an entry in through Office. Now, while the rest of NIP are being heavily distracted, it might not be a bad idea. Julio is going to be playing inside of Office and as the heads up, but peaked 2 at a time is always going to be a tough ask. Nesk, he's able to shut him down. PSK can take advantage of that distraction and move on through to find Psycho. Kamikaze going to be full white flashed. Is there anyone there to peek onto him? The answer is going to be yes. Resets and PSK are going to find the last 2 there for Liquid.
Liquid are almost kind of becoming a compressor at this stage, Ollie, aren't they? They're pushing every angle and slowly crushing NIP. And it's worked out for them. Again, I think that opening pick was massive. I think the fact that they had easy kitchen control allowed PSK to get in with the Nomad, lock off everything, and then you just play your siege from there. Very, very simple siege coming out from Liquid. NIP, it's tough. As soon as you lose that map control and you feel kind of trapped, it's going to be over. You know, we've seen 3 players in Sunrise. That's not a good position to be in. I think NIP, yeah, just struggling with the map control.
Kind of understandable, especially on a map like Coastline, which
yeah, it's claustrophobic.
We do see a lot of attacker favor here, and especially with the sort of siege that Liquid are looking to bring at the moment, it favors them even more. I think one of the things that I'm most impressed about here, Demo, is Liquid's ability to perform inside of that final 20 seconds. Because I was kind of expecting rounds to drag on a little bit, and I was expecting, especially on the attack, I was expecting Liquid to be, you know, using as much time as they can. But they're not only using it, but they're actually operating really effectively in such a short amount of time.
Ideally, it should be 3 rounds to 1, I feel, for Liquid at the moment. They obviously, that round that they kind of blundered on the penthouse, bit of a misstep. So it is 2-2 as it stands. I mean, a 4-2 split, I think, is probably what Liquid are after. I think that's, like, you know, expected, I think, a 4-2. If it goes 3-3 at any stage, NIP are in a really, really good position then to maybe rally in the second half and try and take this map. So, a lot of pressure on Liquid. They have to have these next 2 rounds, Ollie, in my eyes, if they want to have a good standing against NIP and what they can perform on the attacking side of Coastline. So Liquid will be attacking in towards that top floor. Opening up in towards VIP, so nothing has really changed, I would say. This is still the same kind of idea of a bomb site. You try and take in towards VIP, you open up some of the reinforced walls, you play your angles, you eventually go for Aquarium, and it's a simple plan. That's what should happen. That's the script that I've got. I don't know if you have anything different, Ollie.
No, I think mine's still getting pulled off the printer as we speak. Some last minute changes maybe getting thrown on through, but
script writes itself.
Liquid doing very well for drones here, considering that there is a mute in play. They've still got plenty of drones here available to look to work with, and they've also done a good job of funneling NIP back and really pushing them over in toward that hookah area and that billiards. We've got Palu playing below the bottom of Cool Vibe stairs, and again just waiting for his time to pounce. You know that if he times this well, he's going to have a field day. The default camera is still going to be up down there. Recess looks to maybe drone him on through. Ask's now going to cause a bit of a problem and try and cut that site in half by opening up that quad wall. NIP are being constricted even more so here, but the time is going to be ticking down for them.
I don't think Liquid need too much time, ideally, for this bomb site. It is very small. You can get into a good position to plant really at any moment. Liquid, just after the kills, just give them a little bit more freedom, I think, and perhaps gives them an opportunity to try and rush into bomb site, take the trades, try and go 1-for-1 kills around the board. Psycho, a great swing, and don't know how Ask has managed to go straight into the pre-fire. Another one for Psycho also. Big players step up to the mark. NIP still in a bit of a rocky position. All 4 of them are almost lined up in that one area, Ollie. But still, they have tons of utility. They have Rudy Gates, they have shields, they have everything to deny Liquid this execute.
Resets has 10 seconds here to make something happen. PSK looks to push on through and try to confirm that plant. Kamikaze's definitely going to hear that, and he's going to be able to call it out, but Palu is playing Overwatch. Resets with the shoulder cover. The plant has gone down regardless. The C4, it was too late. We're now in an even 2 versus 2 with that diffuser down. Palu, he's still going to be downstairs. Resets is playing inside of Aquarium, so the 2 players for Liquid are fairly split up at the moment. Palu's actually going to get himself over onto Ruins. Julio finds the kill onto Resets. Surely a done deal, but no, Palu, he finds the headshot onto Kamikaze. He's going to be able to watch onto the plant spot from that exact location. He's just got to hold his nerve. Julio, he's trying to bait him out and switch it. Palu, 2-1 taps. What are you playing at?
Playing T-Hunt. He's playing T-Hunt Ollie. He's planted the diffuser. And the terrorists are trying to come over. They're trying to defuse Ollie, but it's not working for them.
How? How does he do it? My oh my. It was just how they were so casual. They're like round-winning kills. They could be game-winning kills at this point. That's going to give Liquid the advantage here. They now have the opportunity to go 4-2 here on attack. And Palu's just one-tapping it like it is absolutely no problem whatsoever. I'll be honest, I saw him on Ruins. I thought you're going to have a problem. It's 2 versus 1. There's a lot of different windows that they're going to be able to peek you out of. You don't know whether to look through who could door. You don't know whether to be prioritizing. Maybe if they've gone downstairs into blue. Like, as a player, when you've not got the X-ray view and you don't really know where these guys are situated, you got to be thinking, there's a lot of angles to check here. Palu's just like, no, bam, bam. Potentially there was a drone on the diffuser. I did comment that there was a lot of drones available for Liquid. So maybe they had that intel and that gave him the confidence to do so. But still, to pull it off in that sort of style, unbelievable.
Have you ever seen that before?
I've not seen it.
I've never seen the diffuser held from Big Window and Ruins on an Aqua. Because most of the time, as soon as you plant Aqua, everyone just goes into, you know, like the balcony or into luggage and just hold it from that area. But never have I seen a 1v2 post plant held from one guy in Ruins. Like that, it's stuff that you kind of think of and, you know, you kind of think, oh yeah, that would be great, but when would the opportunity ever arise? You know, when are you ever going to have the ability to have somebody sit Ruins the entire game? But fair play, they made it work.
On the Iana, nonetheless. Not even like a glass. You know? Not even like...
No Kali sitting.
No, not even no big scope. Ready. Just a little 1.5 times, you know, and nothing big. Unbelievable plays. And again, the momentum shifting into Liquid's favor here. Ness going to be giving it a nice early challenge there as he's actually just going to get repeats ever so briefly. Now, this VIP control hasn't gone too well historically here for NIP. They've regularly lost the first kill out of there. Muzi going to have an opportunity here. Resets is going to be able to take down Psycho. Muzi just holding on to the angle. The pre-fire, it is going to be a little bit too shallow as the skeleton key is just being tested at that sort of a range, and Resets is having a bit of a harder job than he would like to open that up. He's going to get a bit of assistance, and he's going to find the kill over onto Muzi. He gets caught flat-footed, and that's Liquid up by 2 men.
I mentioned about Maverick. Nobody's taken Maverick and Coastline, but maybe Liquid, they're sitting there thinking, hey, we struggled quite a bit opening up this VIP wall. Let's do the simple thing. Let's bring the Maverick, and it has gifted them kills, Ollie. 2 kills it has gifted them from this one angle that we're just seeing Reset sit on. So Liquid, again, they have got these opening kills consistently. They have always had the kind of leg up against NIP, but the last time they were here, it was a massive choke. They didn't get the diffuser down in time. Another one for Resets. Ollie, they're feeding him.
Resets hasn't moved and he's found himself 3 kills. Nesk's going to move on through and pick up another. And it all now lies in the hands of Kamikaze. He's got a minute to try and hold on, and he's going to start chaining kills together here. Liquid needs to be careful not to get a little bit too aggressive onto this. Resets, he's going to get chunked down as well as he sees all of that Goyo Shield's damage. PSK looking to join forces with him now as well. Kamikaze with 2 angles to check. Looks as though he maybe is out of information and just relying off sound calls, potentially something going for him, but The plant will now start to go down. Kamikaze, is he going to try and challenge onto this or not? He's slowly moving through. Round, he's been allowed to cross. He's going to find himself the quad. The plant has gone down, but the pressure is now on the rookie. Resets. Can you land your shots? The answer is yes. Liquid, they're going to go up 4-2 here after their attacking split on Coast.
I think my heart skipped a beat there for a minute, Ollie.
I think Reset's heart skipped a beat, mate.
Whew. I don't know how there's no info. Like, surely they would have had a drone somewhere. I don't know, maybe. But then Resets, obviously it's a 50-50. He either comes down 90 hallway or he walks into bedroom, and I suppose Resets, he got it wrong. Thankfully, the diffuser went down just in the nick of time, or else that would have been very, very dangerous for Resets. But he still holds his nerve. I mean, you have to commend NIP really fighting back there, almost having that retake. But Liquid, I think they done the dirty work in the early stage of that round, and it was enough to see them through. 4-2 they sit, expected for a Coastline attack.
Very easily could have been a 5-1 as well. Could really coming out here to play. Obviously, you didn't cast last stage demo, but you'll have seen the games where Liquid struggled on Coastline. They famously lost against Santos, and they got taken to overtime by Furia. It's the halfway point. It's very early to say, but so far there has been a bit of a shift and a bit of a difference in the way that Liquid are approaching this as a map, and already they look a lot stronger inside of those attacking rounds. I guess a lot of the metal is going to be tested now that they switch over onto the defense, and NIP get to take advantage of that same attacker favor.
So, don't know who's under pressure here. Is it going to be NIP under pressure, knowing that they're 4-2 down, or maybe Liquid realizing that they're on the tougher half now, that it might be a little bit more difficult for them to win these rounds? It's a tough one. Gonna have a bit of a rehost though, Ollie, so we'll wait for that, and we'll see how that first round plays out in a bit. But as it stands, Liquid 4-2, should have been 5-1. I have to get that over, Ollie. Should have been 5-1.
Very, very close to being a 5-1. I think one of the big takeaways so far, and as we've said, we're halfway through this game. We've seen 6 rounds. We haven't seen it to its conclusion at all. I think maybe one of the players on the side of NIP just having a couple of problems. We did have Muzi drop out, and then subsequently a couple of others. So we are just going to hit a very quick rehost here. But something that I would like to talk about, and it certainly is worth talking about, is going to be how these new players to the side of Liquid have performed. Massively impressed so far. We've seen 6 rounds, and already I'm like, all right, you guys are here to play. Ask has come in and just stomped. Both players, both Ask and Resets, have had big multi-kill rounds. We think about round number 6, the one we just saw. Resets, did he pick up 3-4 kills? I think he got 4 in the end.
Yeah, I think Resets that last round just doing his job, which I think is the most important thing that you can do as a new player. Is you come in and you do what you're supposed to do. Yeah, nobody can critique you for that. You don't have to try and play out of your skin. Do your job. If everyone else does their job, you'll win the game. Simple, yeah? I think Liquid, the changes whenever they were made, Ollie, it was massive news. It really was. This was a big roster who had a massive core. You look at Sexy Cake, won the Pro League finals way, way back in Atlantic City. And, to see him off the roster, that's a big surprise already. We've seen this before. You look at G2. G2 had Uno and Kanto. Uno and Kanto gone. In comes Hungry and Yonka. We have seen this happen before with other sides, and it has worked. We do see these roster moves happen, and it is for the better. Still early days. Still tough to call. We have to see how a full season kind of feels them out. We're not just going to sit here and say, oh yeah, this is it. This has worked. This is everything that Liquid needed. You need to give them time. That's what we need to see. I think 3 months is kind of, for me, always the time that you say, okay, look at them 3 months, how have they played, how have they affected, how have Liquid done, how's their results, is it better, is it worse, is it the same? All of that needs to be taken into account.
And of course, in 6 months, you can just go out and win your first major.
True. Look at Team 1. Yeah.
That was the Team 1 recipe for success. So we never know where Liquid will be. I mean, 6 months, it's going to be getting
6 months invite time.
A little bit invite time, isn't it? It's getting a little bit freaky with a bit of SI. But
Don't predict. Do not do it. Don't do it.
Potentially. But nevertheless, it's been very enthusing to see the way that Liquid have played so far. I think the overall stamp of approval can be sort of, you can start to get the ink on the stamp. We're not quite slapping it down on the paper just yet, but you can prepare to do just exactly that. NIP, on the other hand, they've looked a little bit lost. They've been trying a couple of new things here. They've really been forcing that penthouse and theatre hold. We haven't seen them defend inside a kitchen. Unless we go to OT, we won't. And even if we do, I doubt we will. Bit of a question mark to be asked about that one.
Yeah, you look at the penthouse and theatre that has been forced 3 times in this map so far, only one of them winning. But in hindsight, it shouldn't have been the case. Liquid dominated all so 3 of those rounds. Yeah, they dominated it. The only real thing they had was a top floor, bit of a lackluster, I think, hold from Liquid at the time, where they just let NIP swing onto their diffusers. So that was a bit shocking from Liquid. In terms of the Sunrise and Blue Bar, I think that was probably Liquid's easiest round, Ollie. They just walked in the kitchen. Obviously, they got that pretty lucky wall bang in the beginning, but from there, they just set up their angles and they slowly pushed in and they got their kills. I mean, Liquid made quick work of most of the NIP setups.
And that's the word I was going to use. I was going to use quick. Liquid's rotations have been quick. Their early round has been quick. Everything about this team has screamed, we have got pace and we have got speed and we're not afraid to use it. And it's not necessarily very aggressive plays that are winning. Sure, there's a few ego challenges going in there. Like, I want to see it. I want to see Ask swinging in onto Muzi inside a VIP and taking him down a couple of rounds in a row on the same site. That's exactly what we're here for. But on the balance of that, there's brilliant little bits of teamwork where we get Palu just being very busy. Like, that guy he's ran a lot today on Iana. He's put Iana through her paces as an operator because he's been here, there, and everywhere, wherever required. That's another thing that has worked exceptionally well here for Liquid, is they haven't been afraid and they haven't been slow. They've not been playing slow siege. NIP on the flip side, some of their defenses looked a little bit slow. It just really looked as though they couldn't catch a break, and in their eyes were probably falling victim to a little bit of siege timing now and then. You mentioned the barricade on the spawn peak there and stuff like that. So maybe a little bit of a tech pause is gonna help them out, and maybe they're gonna shift that tide, especially now that they're able to really change that momentum up as they're gonna be going on to the attack.
I mean, NIP were a team for me where I always thought they could be 6-0 down and they'll still find a way to win the game. That's the kind of team that they are. We've seen them just play some of the most scrappiest siege you will ever see. This is the scrappiest team in Siege, in my opinion. They are a team where they are put in these positions that they should never win, but they win them. Time and time again, it's always NIP who do that. They give me a heart attack every single time they attack. Every time.
I mean, you are talking about the current and reigning world champions.
But I'm not saying, obviously I'm not saying scrappiest as in, a bad term. I'm saying scrappiest as... that is a massive characteristic to have.
It is.
That just makes them terrifying. Because I always feel as if you're playing against NIP, you're never safe. You could be sitting in a 2v5, you're not safe. How many clutch moments have we seen NIP perform over the past year?
It was too many to count.
You're just not safe.
They have that potential.
Look at Kamikaze in that round against Resets in that 1v1. Almost clutched it.
It would have been an ace clutch for Kamikaze as well.
A situation that he should not win.
It just should not be happening. Let's see how they favour now as they move on to the attack. Now, Liquid, they've gone straight downstairs. They are not opting for any funny games up inside a penthouse and theatre. Instead, they're going to take kitchen. Look to keep control from there on out. I guess still... you're going to need that extension, and as we can see...
nothing's really changed here.
Across the map, we've got the red silhouettes of the defenders that are going to be up and about out there on the roam. I think potentially got Resets playing inside of Hall of Fame, Penthouse, just able to move through as he sees fit. The wall hasn't been reinforced, though, so it's going to be fairly easy for NIP to get in there.
Also, Reset's running the DMR, which is just a bit of a surprise. I can't remember the last time I seen a Rooney with the DMR. It's always the Rooney. Right now, one of the best weapons you can have in the defense. But hey, if he can take some of those long angle fights with the DMR, 2 shots to the chest, and that guy's down, whoever you're fighting against. So NIP not actually gonna go upstairs, which is a bit of a surprise. Usually vertical is the way we see a lot of teams like to play it. They get upstairs, they get their bucks in. Obviously Sledge is banned this game, but it would be a Sledge also. Rip up the floor, get people pushed out of kitchen, get them pushed out of delivery, and go for a very simple delivery plan. But they're going to go for the Sunrise and Blue Bar take. They're really looking to pressure in towards kitchen. We'll see some rotates towards the kitchen window. Primarily, that is where you want to try and plan it, is going to be kitchen window. Pino, that's a great pick. That's going to be Nest down. That's going to be SE4 gone that you don't need to worry about. So that's a good start for NIP.
The site's looking a little bit light here as well, as Ask is going to be playing in there solo. Gets chunked down as well. Paolo is able to find one and look to maybe make some moves to alleviate some of this pressure as the Toxic Babe canister goes out, but it will be his undoing. Ask is going to fall. NIP are just collapsing here. The plant now will start to go down. Reset's just struggling with that DMR at long range. He's going to get sat down in the dirt by Pino. Pino picks up 3 kills on the round. Still the diffuser attempting to go down, as it now will be successful. PSK this time in the clutch situation. Already has found the first, but he's still got to get through Pino inside of Sunrise, and he's still got to look to try and move on through the side. Pino just going to be holding that long angle, and he does not miss. 4 kills on the round for Pino. Getting in, he barely moved his feet.
I have no words. The analysis for that round, Ollie, would be they walked in. That's it. That's all I can say.
Pino walks in.
He walks in.
The end.
That is it. And I'm really confused. You have to put question marks above Ask. All he had to do was hold down that delivery side. He's a smoke. He has a Banshee. He hears the guy walk in. He can hear that as clear as day. Why not just swing the guy? Why try and use a smoke grenade? You know, smoke grenades, Ollie, as good as they are, it's going to take at least, 5 seconds to fully kill a person. In that space of time, he can just walk through it, tank it, and still kill you. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, just one pretty sloppy mistake from your resident smoke main just cost them.
He was in a tough spot as well. On his own in the site, under fire. And you're thinking, if someone's pushing into the site, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to stop the plant, I'm going to smoke it. Not necessarily, I should swing it and get the kill because he's just going to push through and kill me instead. So, maybe a little bit of outplay there in the hands of Kamikaze.
And I played it well.
Looks like a really simple move. But so many players would have tried to plant in the doorway and then would have started to, play around with the smoke utility, sort of utility sink, as it were, getting rid of all the smoke grenades, baiting them out nice and early. So many players would have just tried to get the plant down there, but Kamikaze, no, instead charges all the way on through with confidence as well, because they've already droned it and they know that Ask is the only player inside the site.
The fact that they killed Nesk early on, who was the support essentially for Ask, they already have Sunrise and Blue Bar. They know nobody's coming in from kitchen. They have that locked down. All they have to do is flood site, win a 1 kill, and that is it. They have full bomb site control. That's exactly what happened. So NIP, they got their information, they played it well, and they were able just to overwhelm them. So, yeah, all credit to NIP. So, Liquid, that's 1 round lost on your defense, and this is where, Ollie, you start to worry. Because if NIP start having that momentum, you're not stopping them.
Let's see how they're able to do here inside of round number 8. It was a relatively slow build up to the execute, but as soon as it started, as soon as it got up to speed, it didn't really slow down previously for NIP. Muzi going to be up on the roof, just trying to open up some of those barricades and gain a little bit more vision. Kamikaze going to be upside down on the rappel as well, as he's looking to hold off any sort of rotate. So again, Liquid, they're going to be constricted, they're going to be pushed here. But again, not in positions that they really need to worry too much about. These are good old staples that you can try and hold for as long as possible. It's players like Resets that are going to be a little bit more vulnerable there.
NIP going to go with a vertical game from below, and I think Ask is looking for a challenge with that Alda. Backs away for the meantime. They do like this approach from NIP, and oh, Ask, a great swing, and oh, look at his face. Psycho can't believe it. All he had to do was open up some angles and try and look to challenge, but hey, Ollie, holes work both ways.
They really do, and there's a question to ask there. Are you really trying to overcomplicate things? You know, you don't want to be challenging somebody that's got an Alva in their hand, regardless of the situation or the circumstance. So, again, another opening pick here going toward Liquid, this time whilst they're on the defense. Reset's going to get shut down from the roof as Muzi is finally rewarded for his patience. He has spent the entirety of the round up there until this point, and now no doubt will make that rotation to try and assist his team a little bit further. Muzi instead going to jump his way down and get himself onto the balcony. Finds one before being traded. Still, equal score and level now as 3 versus 3 will ensue. Paolo in a pretty good spot as well on that 90. Ask from above. He's going to find himself the second. Those holes really are going to work both ways. Pino with a desperate drop into the hatch. Finds himself one onto PSK. He's only got 2 seconds left. Paolo didn't even need to challenge, but he fancies padding his stats regardless.
I mean, Ask under a lot of pressure in that early stage, Ollie. I mean, if you're getting backed from below, you're going to be in a bit of a worry situation where, oh, where do I sit now? I can't sit in my kind of safe haven. But he just thinks, you know, I'm just going to swing it. And he finds 2 kills from it. Insane. But yeah, just holes work both ways. I mean, Ollie, is a straw, is it 1 hole or is it 2 holes? You know, what is it? No one knows. And that's how Maestro works. You just don't know who's going to swing you. Because that Alda just is just incredible.
I have never heard that before in my life.
Never heard that.
Is a straw 1 hole or 2?
I mean, is it? What is it? You tell me.
Is it?
My case is closed. I'm done here. I'll let you think on
honestly,
that. I'll let you think on that.
I'm done. I think you've genuinely fried my brain.
There's one for everyone to think about. Is a straw 2 holes or 1?
If I think about that too hard, I'm going to get a headache.
Well, just let's go to the bomb site, which is hooking now.
5-3 here for Liquid, as they were actually successful inside of the penthouse and theatre, which was kind of unusual given the way that we've seen it play out so far today, and obviously with the changes that this map has now seen, it is becoming a little bit more viable, clearly, as Liquid have been able to make it work there, although the attack from NIP was still a little bit strange. Opening up those vertical angles and then not really being able to take full advantage is never a situation that you want to be in. You don't want to give that defender any more power than they already have, and well, ASCII received just about all of it inside of that previous round. But here we go, we change once again. I think Paolo's grabbed himself a drone. Paolo's really feeling himself. He's got 4 kills since the rehost, and he had a ruck of kills before then as well. He must be approaching double digits by now.
NIP, you want to approach this one. Again, both teams, I feel, taking the kind of early game, especially for the top floor, a little bit slow. I think for this top floor especially, you need to figure out where all of the utility is going to be placed for the defense. Most of the utility is actually going to maybe go in towards Hookah, it looks like. The fact that they have kitchen control gives them the kind of accessibility of denying anyone inside of VIP, which is what Liquid have went for in the past, of course, is that VIP hold and trying to take in from across that side of the map. But, I mean, NIP not really interested. They're all about the Hookah. They're firing the nades. They're trying to eliminate anyone in towards Cool Vibes. You can see that PSK just not sure if he wants to stay here anymore. Does have 3 ADSs. Does he want to move? Probably not. That's going to be the safest spot in the map.
A lot of time here for NIP to look to work with as well. They've got just short of half of the round remaining. Pino's going to take up position on Hooker window as he looks to try and cut the site in half. Kamikaze going to aggressively swing on through and take the challenge. Shuts down PSK, finds himself a second. Kamikaze has said, that is it. I am moving on through. He's going to find himself a beautiful shot. Nesk, what are you doing? Picks up another 2. Psycho and Kamikaze. They're going to fall, and he can visually see the diffuser dropped on Vars as well. Nesk, he says not today. The advantage flips now back to Liquid.
In goes Pino. Has to try and make something happen now. Looking for anyone who may be lurking in towards Cool Vice, but nobody's there at the moment. Paulu is downstairs. Doesn't want to make a move. Has a C4 pre-place. You can hear that by the sound, but no, misses the pre-place and also loses his life in the crossfire. Liquid into a 2 versus 2. Diffuser still on base. Nesk, he knows that. Trying to feed the information over to resets. Diffuser trying to get picked up. Pino. Resets now moving in and will eliminate the Iana. Julio has the diffuser in hand, but he is in a very tricky location. Constant information being fed for it. Resets has the long angle. Information from the Nitro camera is proving so big. NIP had a great start, Ollie. Great stuff from Kamikaze. Set them up beautifully, but they couldn't follow up.
Bit of a shame as well, because the way that you saw Kamikaze move through with such confidence, he had the crossfire cover from Pino. NIP literally had everything going for themselves there. The one thing that they hadn't accounted for was Nesk. And it's somebody that you can never account for. He's always going to be a bit of a problem. And he was very easily able to just diffuse the entire pressure and push that we saw come through. These are the couple of kills that Kamikaze was able to get. I mean, immediately taking control of Vars was absolutely great, but Nesk, I mean, what can you say? Back-to-back with resets as well. It's going to be even more now, even more difficult, sorry, for the observers to know who to go on the side of Liquid, because any one of them is going to pop off here. You can see flashy kills from any single one of these players. It really is pretty nuts. That is enough to put Liquid onto a match point here at a scoreline of 6-3 currently. They could look to close this one out relatively quickly.
Last round, still just wondering about how NIP didn't capitalize that. I mean, maybe was it Kamikaze getting a little bit too antsy, Ollie, whenever Nesk got that great shot into the double window man? Perhaps. But I think the Maestro camera, more than anything, was the big heavy hitter in that round. That information is so valuable, and it was the sole reason why that 2v2 was so easy for Liquid. And NIP, I think, just struggling with the utility player. I mean, I think looking at their lineup, they bring it up. You know, they're bringing in their nades. We're seeing Sophia now. We're seeing Flores. We're seeing Ash. We're seeing 4 of the best soft destruction clearers in the game all being brought to one lineup. They should not be struggling with utility.
It's a very simple thing as well, but again, you know, Maestro, somebody that's seen a lot of banning in the past, and those cameras can just slip through the radar, and if NIP weren't in a position to deal with it and tried to kind of brute force it, I mean, that's certainly the impression that you get with the way that this game has gone so far. A lot of what NIP is trying to do is not necessarily off the back of desperation, but certainly they are trying to brute force their way into these rounds. And if some of the steps haven't been completed on the checklist prior to that, it can cause them a little bit of a problem. Pino's been able to find a nice early kill here onto Palu, making a nade sing, and it's going to take out one of Liquid's hot shots at the moment, but as we've seen, any one of them that's still capable. A good opening pick, though, for NIP, and something that they desperately needed. Ooh, make it a second! Pino from the bathroom! He's going to shut down resets as well.
That's one of those rounds where you set up nicely in towards the top floor, but NIP fire back and they win those engagements. That's really all that hold comes down to if you want to try and hold the top floor, is if you can win your gunfights. And well, NIP this time around, they've done that. And now they have full upstairs control. They have the vertical. They didn't go for vertical last time, but then again, they did prey off the downside of Liquid playing very thin on the bomb site. So now they have the top floor, they can just start to execute as simple as you like. You can see Kamikaze with the diffuser, he's going to be outside delivery. This is going to be your very simple run-of-the-mill delivery plan. Nothing out of the ordinary for me, Ollie. It's just, can Liquid battle back in any shape or form? Because if they just sit back and allow NIP to play their game, they're going to get bullied.
They really are, and Frollo was saying about a brute force mentality, NIP have gone for anything but here. They're really trying to get their ducks in a row before looking to execute. They've still got the small problem of Ask and those Toxic Babe canisters to deal with. PSK playing below the hatch as well could be a little bit of a problem here. This is in a really good position to try and make that rotation. Nesk again in position to move around into blue bar. Ask going to pre-place one of his last Toxic Babe canisters. Nesk is going to get taken out on that flank. So this really is pointing toward NIP, but they've got to either get a couple of these kills or start to get the plant down. It's going to be a triple kill for Pino. Ask, he's able to find himself one, but it is not going to be enough. Pino's able to push his way on down, find the kills required. It really did come down to the last second. NIP, they're going to hold on here for one more round.
Yeah, NIP being able to secure that round for them, still keeping it alive. 2 rounds away from squaring things up. I mean, NIP, I think just having the man advantage, another rehost is where we're going to head to. It seems to be Ollie, but I mean, NIP, all credit to them. Just played great siege. Nothing more you can say about that round. They cleared out the roamers above. They won their gunfights. They used destructibility. They used the soft destruction, opening up the flooring, and very simply walking into delivery.
It was a much more tempered approach than previously, wasn't it? They were able to get those opening kills, and the opening kill over onto Palu was pretty huge. Nice nade there being used. We saw resets fall as well, and as soon as that upstairs control had been gained, it was enough to, you know, it was a couple of drips that start the flood. You know, it was a big enough snowball to then start to build momentum from. You do wonder about NIP and the sort of mental state at the minute. They all look a little bit downtrodden. I know that the pauses that we've had have been from their side, so I'm not sure if they're coming up against significant tech issues as well that is making playing difficult and a little bit more pressured and strenuous. But as everybody knows, playing when something isn't exactly right is never a lot of fun. So whether it's a problem with their internet or whatever it might be, hopefully they're able to get it sorted and get themselves back into this one, because it is by no means a done deal here for Liquid. No. They sit at 6 rounds to 4, but NIP are on the attack. They have the chance and the opportunity here to just claw a couple of rounds back and take us into an OT.
But then again, Liquid, they're going to have their bomb sites eventually unlocked. They're going to have that hooker to come back to eventually. I mean, Sunrise and Blue Bar hasn't been seen as of yet, so that also could be a possibility for Liquid. I know Liquid, they're a team where they're happy enough to play every bomb site. That's really not a hindrance to them. But we'll just see where they want to go. Did you want to try and attempt kitchen? I mean, to be fair, if you look at that kitchen round played out, Ollie, if their roamers had a little bit more impact, this could have been a very different round right now.
Yeah, I think 100%. If Nesk is able to win his 1 versus 1, I imagine it took place inside of Office or Blue, somewhere of that nature. If Nesk's able to win that, it becomes an entirely different round because Pino is much less likely to be successful dropping the hatch into main lobby. Nesk's got a chance of doing something about that there and at least deferring the time so that if Ask is successful as he was in taking out Kamikaze on the plant, that the round would go to Liquid based off time. So, like you say, only a couple of minor things. It was by no means a clear-cut affair or a stomp on the side of NIP. And I think that their focus is certainly shifting. We can see that we've got all the players in the lobby. We're just waiting for everybody to confirm that they're ready and that we're all good to go. But spoiler alert, Jackal and Lion have been locked in here, or at least picked so far, sorry, by NIP. Now, that tells you one thing. That tells you that they're in a problem with these roamers.
Yeah, roamers are always going to be a bit of an issue on Coastline. Especially now with the changes to how the rooftop kind of plays out now, Ollie, is that you don't have to worry about being shot from the rooftop every single time you rotate. Now, you have a bit of protection with how the kind of remodeling has went with some of those windows.
I think Muzi was still able to find a little bit of success through there earlier, but I agree it is a greatly reduced risk. Which you say, you can barricade a couple of those windows up now, and even if you can just make a run for it, you know, and all you're risking then is the good old pre-fire onto a barricade, but it's a very difficult shot to make, and you'd be very unfortunate if you suffered that too many times in a row. So a lot of focus here going to be shown toward these roamers, and I imagine that's something that NIP are consciously trying to do now in order to give themselves a little bit more time in the later part of the round. Because you think about clearing out roamers and discovering where people are, or making those early pushes where you're trying to get a nice entry, you're trying to send your Pino in to go and find a couple of opening kills, you're going to need that information. You're going to need to know where people are, and it's clearly something that NIP is struggling with, or at least the speed of which they are finding that info out. So Liquid could be in for a bit of a shock here, as some of them are no doubt going to get searched on out.
Yep, Liquid have to try and play on their toes. Albeit, though, this is a kind of bomb site where you can easily fall back and try and play on site. I mean, even go below and use your C4s. One thing about Coastline that people forget is just the sheer amount of destructibility that you get is incredible. Also got the Goyo be brought in from Liquid. That's going to give them those deployable shields. A little bit more cover, a little bit more protection. Say that, nobody's protected from Muzi though. As he's on that double window, sits, holds the angle, and Nesk again, another opening death for him. That seems to be a bit of a recurring theme for Nesk, and that's unlike him.
Well, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelette. Nesk obviously trying to get himself out and in and amongst those opening engagements, and this time hasn't really found the favour in them. It's allowed Muzi to actually push in now into Billiards. And you can see that Liquid are not quite scurrying back, but they're not far off making their way back. Even VIP now is not going to be the safest place to be, as Psycho has a track. And the wall is now going to start to get opened. We've got Maverick in place again to do just exactly that. And somebody to watch the Maverick holes on Repel, which you just know is going to be a pretty much a forever thing from here on out.
That's trying his best to try and find a kill, all banging in towards VIP, but as it stands, ooh, slips past the Mozzie Pest. That's very fortunate for Muzi now. But yeah, Liquid's not in a good position. You can kind of feel as if the pressure is starting to get to them. Relying very heavily, I feel, on Paulu Blue with that C4. Resets, trying to hold on to luggage as best as he can, but NIP, you can see them starting to group up, pushing down in towards long, and now they are instant VIP, and there's a swing from the castle. Psycho, are you ready for this one? Backs away now, the C7E. Have they checked, though, for PSK? He's in a great position. Very close, and looks as if they are going to be ready for him. And it gets sent in, but it doesn't kill him. It does not connect, and PSK can still be a menace to them in this position. There's the second nade. Oh, gets traded out before the nade can go off. Jackal is there. Paulu now rotates over, resets, holding on firm from behind, but Psycho shuts him down, and IB have fully flooded into the bomb site and leaves Paulu in a sticky mess. And IP find their men. They find that round one away, Ollie, from tying us up.
There's a time in this game where you wouldn't have thought that a tied overtime at 6-6 was a possibility, but we are ever closer to that reality. And IP really getting that one over the line in, you could say, a scrappy fashion demo. Mm-hmm. It certainly wasn't the cleanest of rounds. There wasn't the most amount of time remaining, but they were able to get the job done. And that's something that we've seen them do consistently. Another point to note about Liquid now is that they've got a couple of players that haven't been put through the mill, as it were. You know, they haven't been put through the ringer. They haven't been in all too many big situations, and something like a win on your debut or something like that, it might start to affect these players, and you might get a little bit jittery, like you said. Personally, it looks as though Liquid were playing fairly scared throughout the course of that round. You mentioned they were relying so heavily on Paulu and his C4 from below, and Paulu wasn't really given an opportunity to try and use that. Think about where we saw PSK playing in such an aggressive angle on the breach. One player on big window, and PSK would have been dust. He just would have ceased to exist.
Yep.
And you just start thinking, God, these aren't really the sort of power positions that you want to see, played. But obviously Liquid have chosen to change things up now. They're going over in toward hookah and billiards. Still, that penthouse and theatre site just not quite right.
Yeah, no, penthouse and theatre has been a bit of a miss for the most part, I feel. Still, you can see both of them trying to force it with new changes in towards VIP, but just not a good bomb site, Ollie. Just stick to what works. We know what works in this map. Stick to it. I'm surprised Sunrise and Blue Bar isn't seeing a lot more play. You go back up to hookah. This has been a good bomb site for Liquid. If they win this, they win the map. Can they do it against, again, this very heavy anti-roamer lineup from NIP? Only time will tell. Recess, maybe looking to eliminate that Lion. Doesn't know how actually close Julio is inside of Sona. Resets, you gonna lose your life here? Maybe? No,
it's a dance that you don't want to dance, isn't it? You
Stand
really
off.
are dancing with the devil here. We've got Julio holding the angle, resets. He's going to go for a bit of a careless pre-fire there and will be punished for it. He didn't have any information there. He knew that there was a drone in the vicinity, but that is never going to be enough. Kamikaze, meanwhile, has got himself into billiards. How he has done that will remain to be seen until we get the replays, but ultimately the plant is now going down as Liquid. They've been forced out of their own site here. There are 2 men down, and they now have a hell of a retake to attempt. Kamikaze, he's picked up 2 kills on the round. We saw him try to be that beachhead previously. Well, this round, it really is working out for him. 3 kills. Can he make it? The 4th, as Palu is all that stands between NIP and a guaranteed overtime here. Everybody knows where Palu is. He doesn't have a lot of health to speak of, and he hasn't got a great deal of time remaining. It was only ever going to be a matter of time. Kamikaze, another round, another 4 kills here.
Wow. NIP taking us to that overtime. 4-2 splits for both sides. I would say expected. It's definitely the term that comes to mind. I think both teams living up to what we see day in, day out on Coastline is a 4-2 split. It is attacker-sided at the end of the day. And Liquid, Ollie, they get the attack start.
Could be big. Could
Massive.
be very big indeed. Especially if the trend is going to continue now. I certainly think that Liquid looked a lot more confident on their attack. I'm not sure if that's mainly because it was the start of the game and they came in with a good start. You know, we mentioned Ask opened up the game with a 4K. That's really going to infuse everybody. So potentially that has a little bit of a part to play inside of why Liquid have felt so good in the early part of the game. But they've got to try and find that momentum again, and they've got to try and find it now. NIP on the other side are kind of coming off the back of that momentum. You know, they've been able to claw a couple of rounds back there against a looming match point for Liquid. So to see Liquid here on the attack, it really is going to be their best opportunity to get around on the board nice and early. They're going to be attacking into hooker and billiards.
Again, probably the favored defensive site for NIP. This was the, of course, the round where we've seen Liquid set up for an aqua plant, and then we've seen Poly just hit his one-taps pretty much outside of ruins. A great way to hold down a post plant. See if they can recreate that. See where they want to attack from. Again, Liquid have been fairly quick, Ollie, establishing their dominance inside of a round. They're not too sure where they want to approach from. They have spotted out at least one roamer inside of Fear. That's going to be the Wamai. Also, they've got some information on players lurking below. This is good from Liquid. They just want to try and figure out what's the best approach. Oh, never mind.
Well, it seems as though we're having some serious problems here getting this game over the line. I'm going to come back to a very quick rehost once again. I have got no idea how many kills any of these guys have got up until this point. I was roughly trying to keep a track after the first rehost, but now we're hitting the third, and there really is no way to tell. We thank you for your patience, and I'm sure that we'll be getting this one back underway very shortly indeed. Liquid, I'm confident will be keen to get themselves back in there, as we've talked about there. They're going to be starting out on the attack, and I guess that the slow start demo was due to that rehost, as it was a little bit uncharacteristic. We'd seen historically throughout the attacking rounds, Liquid have seen so much favour in the early part of the round. They've been able to get that opening kill. I think it was 5 out of 6 of their attacking rounds they were able to get that opening kill, so it was a very impressive amount of pressure that they were able to put a team like NIP under so soon on in the round.
So NIP, obviously on that defense start, is that going to be good for them? Is that going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back? Who can tell? I mean, NIP, this split, coming into it, still looking fairly good, Ollie. You know, sitting in third place right now behind two of the big rivals, behind Liquid and FaZe. And we'll see if they can finish off a very successful year for them, it has to be said. Still your invitational champions of this year, Ollie. Sure, Mexico did not go how anyone expected it to go, with them crashing out of group stages, and I do wonder how much of an impact that has had. It'll be a good question to kind of ask the fellas if they do win this map. You know, how was Mexico for them? You know, was it a learning curve? Was it the worst for them? Only they can know. Only they know. That's it.
We are getting all the players, so we are rebuilding the lobby at the moment. You can see the lobby getting remade as the players are slowly starting to trickle in. We do stand at an overtime. We saw Liquid get there first. They were able to get to 6-4. NIP bring it back 6-6. Liquid get attack first here on Coastline. Attack being once again the favoured side for this map and for these two teams, as both teams were able to achieve 4-2 splits on their respective attacking halves. And if you're going to follow the numbers, that would lead us to believe that Liquid should be successful here based on the trend of the game so far. But we all know that inside of overtime, things can change around a little bit, especially when you're up against a team like NIP, who have already proven themselves capable of scrapping and fighting for that to even get themselves to an overtime. And it's just worth mentioning at this point, we have 3 rehosts, so that's going to start to take its toll on the players. You know, this is now a
long game.
It's lining up to be a max OT game, given that, you know, if Liquid win here on attack, NIP then win on attack, Liquid, that, you know what I mean, it's going to flip and it's going to flop. So there's that to sort of bear in mind here, but we must have had 5, maybe 10 minutes now of rehost time, which is a lot of time for these teams to be talking and to, you know, getting in their own heads maybe a little bit too much. Certainly a big opener for Ask coming up from One Academy, and obviously a little bit less so for Resets. He's used to the flow and the pace of BR6, having played here in Stage 2.
Liquid, I think for their campaign to get off to a good start, Ollie, this will be a massive win for them. Massive rival fight with 2 new debuts. A lot of pressure, obviously, going for the minds of those young players. And imagine what a boost this would give these guys if they take this win today, just to carry on with the rest of the season.
I think it'd be massive, especially with how Liquid Stage 2 went, because it wasn't great. You know, Liquid did really well inside of Stage 1. They did okay inside of Stage 2. There were a couple of results that really oughtn't have gone the way that they did. So if they're able to kick things off good and strong here and now, they really do give themselves the best platform for success. We are now back into the game. Again, we thank you for your patience here. It truly is worth sticking around for. NIP, Liquid, overtime. Here we go. Liquid, they're going to be starting off on the attack.
Here we go. Moving into OT to Hooker. No surprise there. Look at the lineup from NIP, Ollie. A lot of denial in terms of information. You've got the Moz, you've got the Mute. So droning is going to be a bit of an issue for Liquid. Have to try and dodge away from certain areas of the map. Ideally, I would say if I'm NIP, I try and fortify VIP as much as I can. That has been the kind of staging ground for Liquid. They've wanted to get in towards that side of the map, open up the angles, try and push down towards long. That's been their go-to plan. If NIP can put up a lot of IPs, isn't there? VIP, NIP, so many Ps. If they can put up just a little bit of friction, a little bit of something to try and steer Liquid away, that could be a lot better from them.
Let's see how Liquid choose to approach this round. I really wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of aggression here, as we already see Psycho gets himself chunked down. He is running for his life. He wasn't afraid of a bit of a quick challenge in onto Sauna, but Nesk was ready and waiting. Nesk doesn't miss. Well, he missed the head, but he was able to land a good couple of shots, and it's really given Psycho something to think about, especially on the Wamai. You're going to be looking for those magnets to regenerate over time. You can see him now playing on Vars, and he's going to be desperately trying to get his utility out. He doesn't need too much damage until he is going to be sent to the cameras here inside of this one. Not quite the opening pick that we've been used to from Liquid on attack, but it's a close second.
So Liquid, the information onto the actual bomb site. A lot of drone work being done. Just curious how they want to play this out. Now here comes the repels. I'm assuming Aqua is going to be their go-to just with how they're set up. They have Sunrise control that will then give them blue bar control also, so they don't have to worry about C4s. They've got double window. They've got a lot of great additions right now for a really successful take. The only thing they need to check is anyone who may be playing inside of Aqua, and they've done that. Resets finds an easy kill on the Kamikaze. That will give Liquid the Aqua control. They've also droned out the man inside a luggage. Julio takes a lot of damage. Palu patrolling the top of that Coastline rooftop. Almost like a warden, making sure all the prisoners are back into their cells. And this is where Liquid can really turn on the heat and can make NIP sweat it out.
Especially with Psycho and Julio already so low, it just is going to give them that little bit of an extra layer of vulnerability inside of the gunfight. Not only are they one shot to the head, but they're pretty much one shot to the body as well. Especially given that Julio's still got a C4 to try and use. You're going to want to at least get that out of him before he gets himself into that gunfight. Liquid have stalled out for a time. They can afford to do so, but not forever. Resets. He's trying to stun out the player that's playing inside of Drinks, and he's going to maybe use that opportunity to push his way through, but no, instead looks to cover for PSK as PSK sneaks his way on through. Oh, he went past the player all the way in VIP, but Julio is going to be the last man standing regardless. The plant now will be going down. Resets, another kill from the repel. This player is proving a little bit of a demon from these positions on Buck.
Fairly easy for Liquid again. They've seen the heavy amount of utility towards VIP. They then shifted their entire approach towards a double window and aquarium take. They cleared out aquarium, they cleared out luggage, they got their full control, and from there, they just swept in, they cleaned up the kills, and they were on their way. Liquid take the first round in overtime, but NIP, they now have their attacking round. And once again, that heavy anti-roamer setup is going to be approached once again. Ollie, we're seeing the Jackal and we're seeing the Lion.
Get a bit of a replay here of this push from PSK. You could see the panic as he found Julio. He sort of flicked past him, not anticipating a player to be there. But quickly corrected. But he also had the benefit of his team collapsing around him as well. And again, it was the advantages that Liquid were able to gain in the early part of the round that is somewhere that they have been really effective so far tonight on the attack in that opening part of the round. And it was the advantages they were able to get in terms of hit points, in terms of positioning. Straight away, rent-free inside of the heads of NIP and already controlling the pace of the round. Now they once again sit at a match point this time. We are in overtime. Still potential for this to go to max OT. And Liquid are going to be defending upstairs inside of Hookah and Billiards.
This is a good site for Liquid, of course. See if they can win it out. All credit to NIP. Last time they hit Liquid where it hurt. I think the roamers really got caught out. We've seen a kind of moment below, which is exactly where Resets are playing again, Ollie, where he had no idea that there was a man on his sauna door. So there are just these little moments that Liquid just aren't aware with the information, and NIP are able to capitalize on that. NIP are going to go, again, looks like a similar strategy to what Liquid have went for, straight in towards Aquarium, and Muzi, no problems here. He's in luggage, and now this is where they can gain their control. Muzi, is he looking for a hunt? Is he looking to clear the roamers? Maybe. To be fair, Paulu has gotten to a bit of a safe position towards Theater. No drones on him. He's got Nesk also backing him up inside of 90. So NIP taking the time. So, I'm guessing another Aqua take, Ollie.
Aquatex have been fairly successful on the day. It was where Kamikaze came through last time, as we regularly see Kamikaze just try and one-man army it in. If he's going to be able to do that here and now, though, that remains to be seen. He's got away with it a couple of times. It's worked once. Resets his dancing once again downstairs with Julio. Reset's playing it much more reserved this time, though. It looked as though he had a little bit of a line of sight there, but that's just the X-ray. He's still searching out for that angle. Every second Reset's wastes down there is a good second, though. If he's successful in getting the kill, he's got a quick rotation up. Cool vibes. If he's unsuccessful, he's wasted a ton of time, and he's tied up Julio for a large portion of the round. Kamikaze still trying to bait out this utility. One Toxic Babe canister does remain. A couple of C4s in pocket as well. So really everything here that Liquid need to try and keep hold, as Nesk's going to open things up, taking down Kamikaze. We questioned, can he do it again? And the answer this time looks like it might be a no. Nesk's going to find a second. He's so confident. Peeks out over onto Pino Psycho. He's trying to be the difference maker here, along with Julio Muzi as well. This round is flipping and flopping. NIP now back in that driver's position. But do they have the diffuser? I'm not sure if they're going to need it, honestly. Muzi, he's able to take down Balu. Aski's all alone. Nesk, you must feel so hard done to at this point. We are going all the way to maximum overtime.
An up and down roller coaster for a round. It was looking great for Liquid. Nesk, 2 kills that set them up beautifully. But then out of nowhere, we're seeing the quick pushes in. We're seeing Kamikaze. We're seeing Muzi, just out of nowhere. Yeah, NIP, again, Ollie, rounds that they shouldn't win, rounds that they look just beat up in. They punch back even harder to Liquid, and it works so well. There is a part of me that feels that the positioning of resets probably isn't the greatest. Why play the Jaeger in Sunrise, where Jaeger doesn't have a C4? What pressure can Jaeger apply in that position? Very little. I think Julio, he realized that, knowing that, hey, the only person in Sunrise is somebody who literally can't do anything to us if we push into bomb site. Let's just wait him out. And he did exactly that.
It's a position that needs holding, but as you say, maybe not with that operator.
You need a C4 down there. You need to kind of force NIP to go below. You need to make them hunt, to waste more time, waste utility. You could get some kills. And then you still have that C4 pressure.
I think Paulo and Nesk had the C4s, and
they did, but Paulo was in bedroom. He wasn't doing anything. He was a wasted talent over there.
I mean, Nesk can do what he likes as long as he's getting those kills. You know, it really is a situation where you've got to be like, I got my couple. Like, you know, we've got to try and win a couple more of those engagements, and that's what NIP were able to do. They were able to win those 1 versus 1s, and a couple of them were, you know, I mean, the one downstairs certainly was a 1 versus 1, and Julio, he played that with a lot of patience and a lot of skill, indeed, really picking his time to strike. It was a bit of a now or never situation. But do we come to this inevitable conclusion of Team Liquid taking the map? It would suggest that that is the way that it ought to go, with only 4 rounds throughout the entirety of this game going toward the defenders. 2 rounds apiece. Odds on are that Liquid are going to come away with a win here, and it's going to be on NIP to do something different. They need to book the trend now and pick up around here on the defense. And, well, we've all spoken about the sites that they've been picking so far. At least this time, Demo, they've gone something a little bit more known for the time being. They've gone downstairs to Kitchen.
Yeah, haven't seen Kitchen from NIP, so this is new water really for all of us here to see how NIP want to perform on this bomb site. Liquid, they'll probably, I think, like the fact that we're seeing NIP go kitchen. They're bringing the buck, and I think Resets is not afraid to get in there and get messy with that skeleton key. If they want to try and take above, it would be a fairly good shot for them. Have their vertical pressure. Ask on that Maverick, ready for that VIP wall, and we'll open that up as easy as you like. Maybe Liquid wanting to rotate towards Sunrise and just seeing the kind of positioning. Haven't actually fully opened up that VIP wall. Just got a little bit left to go. Again, Liquid just kind of rotating here and there. Finally, Ask will come back and try and finish off that masterpiece in the wall. But for the meantime, Liquid playing it slow, as per.
Very slow indeed. You know, you start thinking about this minute mark and what they've been able to achieve. I still feel like there's got a lot left to do here.
Yeah, definitely.
PSK going to be placing out these air jabs, and for as good as Liquid have been when the time has run short, it still makes for a little bit of a question mark as to where is this in coming from, because usually by this point they've also been able to gain that opening advantage in terms of a kill, and that's not something that has happened just yet. Saying that, Palu, he must have heard me. He's able to take down Psycho. We also see Julio get chunked down as well as he thirsts after a drone, trying to deny that information, but there is a lot available here for Liquid. Julio now just going to be left watching onto that service doorway. The Toxic Babe canisters will start to fly. With only 20 seconds left, Liquid still need to make a move here. Pino from inside the garden's going to grab one before being shut down. 14 seconds now. Advantage still with Liquid. Husky's picked up 2. That is huge. Muzi from above. He's going to be the last player standing. He gets taken out as well. Resets and PSK. They are going to mop up the pieces. And Team Liquid, they are going to be successful here tonight. A new spin on the roster. They brought in 2 new players here, already seeing results.
Do I dare say the 2 new players were the 2 best performing players from Liquid in that game? Do I dare say that, Ollie? Do I?
It's worth mentioning, and I'm not disagreeing with you, it's worth mentioning there were a lot of rehosts in that, so Ask being on 2 kills is not correct if anyone's just sort of tuned in partway through. And he's going, you're saying these new players are good? Ask got 2 kills. No, I can assure you.
It's not all waffle we talk.
We'll get a final count, I'm sure, on the scoreboard there and what it ought to have been. But I would agree, Demo. I think that the 2 new guys there have come in and they've put in a massive shift. There is always going to be a big question mark when you are replacing iconic players. You're replacing Sexy Cake, you're replacing Moringa. These guys are very well known, pretty much household names inside of Siege. Regardless of the region that you follow, you will have heard of them at some point. So there's always going to be a really big sort of mountain to climb there, and I think they rose to the occasion brilliantly. They weren't trying to replicate in any way. It was pretty much a new Liquid. They were bringing a lot of new and different ideas.
Yeah, I still think that the whole concept of Liquid in terms of how they attack is still there. I think we're seeing a lot of moments, Ollie, where they want to try and have all 5 players alive. I don't think they're as reckless as what maybe we would have expected. I think they were still pretty passive for the most part. But I think whenever they execute hits, the gun skill, they look scary. That raw talent that I think Resets and Ask brings, it is great. It is great to see.
It really is. Chunks, we are going to bring you back in now. I'm going to have a further chat about that game. And I guess one of the bigger questions that I'm sure is on everybody's lips at home is, who are we going to be interviewing? Because, of course, we used to interview Sexy Cake.
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. I guess we're going to find out soon enough. I think it's going to be Palu, but we'll confirm that when the time comes around. But I got to say, for the new Liquid players, that was absolutely a trial by fire. The rehost, the double OT, it really went the distance. Demo, do you think this is a good taste of what is to come from Liquid? Especially as newer players, it feels like you rarely get the opportunity to get tested at that kind of marathon level.
Yeah, I completely agree with the statement. Trial by fire, you're being thrown in the deep end and you don't have anyone supporting you. You just have to do your job, play your game, and hope that things work out. And they did. Fair play to Resets and Ask. They held their own to a great extent. NIP today, I think their defense is looking really sloppy. Ideally, should we... I have to keep coming back. Should we have seen overtime? I still think it should have been a 5-1.5 from Liquid. I think that Penthouse and Theater that should have been their round. Yeah, Liquid made it difficult for themselves, I feel, at times today.
Yeah, it definitely felt at times like their defense was maybe lacking, and I think that it could be something that they could work on going into future weeks, because, I mean, Ollie, look, we have seen them for the first time tonight. I'm sure this is their first time getting to play against a real top-tier squad like NIP with this roster. Do you think that they can learn a lot from this? Do you expect big changes going into, you know, future matches?
I think the Liquid will probably take quite a lot of confidence away from today. I think that's the main thing, really. You know, it's always nice to go and be successful when you've made a couple of changes. You know the things that you're working on are coming out, and they're successful inside of a main game, if you will, and not something that's just a scrim. And I think that on the side of NIP, they're probably not too worried. I think that they're maybe suffering a couple of problems tonight. We saw just how many rehosts we had. It was a max OT game, but it has genuinely gone on for hours and hours at this point, just due to the amount of rehosts that we were having. So I think there's maybe something else going on there, and NIP are just not able to give it their all today, given the, you know, their circumstance. And don't forget, you know, NIP, they had a little bit of a lackluster Mexico major, so there could be, you know, further things that they're looking to try it and work on and develop. I think Julio, I think it was Julio that posted onto his Twitter. It was in all sort of Brazilian Portuguese, so I sent it to Bruno, good old Bruno, and he sent me back, you know, a rough sort of translation of what they were saying, and I think NIP felt like they got heavily countered at the major. You know, they were best in the world, they would win SI, and then everyone starts looking at their playstyle and going, well, what makes these guys so good? You know, what can we do to be like these guys? And I think that they're falling victim of a conversation that we've had before, and that is that, you know, the backroom staff and the support staff and the amount of work that goes into teams now is so great that you can really start to pick apart a team. And I think that's maybe where NIP are finding themselves at the minute, where things that they have done historically is just not quite working, it's not quite gelling, and we saw that demonstrated today.
Yeah, and I mean, Demo, how do you think things actually end up changing here for NIP? Do they maybe take a look at what Liquid do and almost counter-strat Liquid now? Think, okay, where did we make our mistakes? Where are weak points? Where were they exploiting us? And even if they're not playing Liquid in the future, can they find a weakness in Liquid that they can maybe translate to other squads in the BR6?
I mean, Coastline was very shaky for them. I think their attacks were kind of expected. I think that's what we expect from teams. It's more now, I think Coastline is, you have to win your defenses. That's where the rounds are going to be won and lost. And NIP fell victim to that. I think their defenses really struggled today. I think that's shown across the bomb sites that they played. I think they played, every bomb site, and they lost every bomb site at least once today. So, yeah, it just wasn't a good day at the office. Again, still, I think NIP, with that same scrappiness that they have, they still always take it the distance. They still never make it an easy match for whoever they play against. I think the adaptations from NIP were great today. I think their attacks, being able just to capitalize on little mistakes that Liquid made, were great. So overall, I don't think there's too much to worry about from NIP. Just maybe the Coastline defenses. Maybe keep them in the back pocket until maybe another day. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe stay away from that one.
Yeah, it looks like we've had a couple technical issues, so we're not going to be able to get an interview this time. We're not going to be able to talk to Palu about those insane one-taps from Ruins onto the bomb planter, but you know what? Still, it was an amazing match. We're going to take a very short break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with our second game of the evening.